in our senior actors or senior directors or senior producers कि आज इस स्टूडियो की फिल्म ऐसी नहीं चली तो कल चल जाती है, आज इस डायरेक्टर की इस टोन की फिल्म नहीं चली तो वो चलती है. But yet they will still, knowing that fact that anyone who's established after a certain years can give a spectacular film at any time, but they will still wait for that. कि नहीं यार, जब ये spectacular time होगा तो हम बस फलाने को ऐसा ट्रीट करेंगे, वैसा करेंगे. Shah Rukh sir is somebody who's experienced that, and that's what I was connecting to the first thing. I said that everyone knows that it's people are just 1 Friday away or 2 Fridays away from that stature, but yet they'll wait for it. I think it becomes easier for people to find faults कि यार arrogant है, egoistic है, या attitude बहुत है. Because we people, I mean, somebody like me who possibly would be very measured to whom I'm dealing with, because I feel if I'm extremely honest, even that's very dangerous. They would get offended. Because of that pressure and competition, nobody wants to see weakness.
Yeah.
Even when you're being cast for an ad film as a struggling actor, they're not interested in कि आपको क्या दुखी आ रही है, ऐसा energy or anything, that they would take it as a sign of weakness. And I think that first 5 years kind of makes you grow up. That Dilli Golonda becomes a man. My mom was binge watching it, and in the first episode they're saying, when that bomb is there, so she would start reacting like an audience and start talking to it. अरे देजा अरे अब क्या होगा, अब ऐसा क्या होगा. मैंने कहा देख लो ना, मतलब.
How did the others react?
All the other, the Kiara also, she was.
Both of you.
How cute, yeah, thank you.
Over 11 years that he's been in the industry, and there have been moments where he's been put down, and there have also been moments where he's been resurrected. Especially, I think the uniform works magic for him, not just once. I think it always did, and it always will. Welcoming Sidharth Malhotra in conversation with me only on Galatta, India. Thank you so much.
Lovely, thank you.
For doing this. Although the only complaint is that you've stopped meeting us as often. Otherwise, I think everything good is happening in your life.
Oh yes. But now you'll see me within months. You'll see me twice now.
That's true.
After this Yodha bhi aa rahi hai.
That's true. You have had that kind of an army background, and whenever you've come from a background which has remote connections with army, you're always disciplined. You have a certain way of life, and you've always had that despite being in the industry. I want to start off by this because it's been 11 years. There are so many actors who come and speak about how people around them and their opinions can corrupt their idea of life. But how did you manage to live life on your own terms in a world, especially which is surrounded by so much shore?
That takes a lot of minute, a lot of effort, a lot of breathing, yoga, exercise. No, it does take a lot of effort. I think it's very easy to get swayed away with the industry, whether it's success or dealing with failures. I think whether you like it or not, but this industry kind of does make you tougher, and then it doesn't let you live in black and white. I was more in black and white when I came from Delhi to Bombay to become an actor. Now I learned how to live in the grey. Also, then it kind of single-mindedly made me focuses you, because it makes you realize that that's all that matters is that day and that shot and that sequence that you're shooting. Because no one vouches for you, no one really stands up for you eventually if what you're doing on screen doesn't some way connect. So I try to put all my energies onto that. Maybe I tend to be a little more choosy at times, but I'm learning. It's a process, but it's been great. I think I can't complain. I came to become a Hindi film hero, and one is doing all those heroic scenes and roles, and learning every day, and lots has changed. Lots to be grateful for, and lots to learn.
As a normal human being also, whatever field you are from, when you actually want to do things your own way, and you're very particular, because you are very particular about how you want things to be done, because especially when you're putting in so much of mehnat into doing a project, then you want it to be positioned a certain way and absolutely give it. But do you feel that the industry is such where when people know what they want and how they want, they are judged a little bit?
Oh, हमारी तरह से सब कुछ है, judgments है, dealing success, nothing succeeds like success है. That's the a vast subject. मतलब that तो मतलब सबने PhD कर रखी है. Everything is Friday to Friday. But it's also how you hold your own. It's also how you stand up to times and emotions where maybe you feel more isolated. Maybe you feel that they're not understanding, this is what my vision, or this is what I want to do. Or I mean, it's in phases.
Yeah.
And I find it very funny that everybody, whether the producers, actors, directors, they've always seen that in our senior actors or senior directors or senior producers कि आज इस स्टूडियो की फिल्म ऐसी नहीं चली तो कल चल जाती है, आज इस डायरेक्टर की इस टोन की फिल्म नहीं चली तो वो चलती है. But yet they will still, knowing that fact that anyone who's established after a certain years can give a spectacular film at any time, but they will still wait for that. कि नहीं यार, जब ये spectacular time होगा तो हम बस फलाने को ऐसा treat करेंगे, वैसा करेंगे, which is, I find it as यार, haven't they learned anything from the past? Because even our current set of actors who are working in seniors, we've seen them performing since our childhood, and they're still doing some great work and equally driven and have their own phases. So I find it funny at times, but I guess that's the reality, that people just want to see success and top notch.
I remember the first day of shoot, or maybe the first few days of shoot at you were shooting at the tobacco factory in Andheri East, where we had gone to meet you. Yes. And I had said this to you because we were shown only the promo a little bit. One of the scenes that you guys shot, the action scene, and I just feel, I've always said this, that maybe with anything good that happens to you, it feels a lot more personal. With anything bad that happens to you, it feels a little more personal. And when I saw you on a Rohit Shetty set, I knew that this is something that as a Hindi film hero, you also would have longed for that opportunity, because it gives you to play to the gallery so much. And I watched the entire show, and I want to tell you that I really enjoyed the show. It is not preachy. It is just a masala web series. And you know, on the digital platform, to have something like this, which is a little different, because everything is like high on content, everything. This is content, but this is treated like a full-blown masala action film. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the things similar. As an audience, I reacted to that content and script in that sense. When Rohit Shetty said, Kiara, I want you to be a cop, I said, of course, ready, sir. Everybody who's not ready, high-speed shot, abhi mera bhi, kuch gaadi hogi, entry hoga, aisa sab hoga. So he's like, wo sab kuch hai, but it's on a series. I said, oh, okay. I said, let's hear it. And then when I heard it, I found that it's a Hindi film only. Isko film banate hain. He's like, nahi, that's what you were also thinking, but it has 7 episodes. And I think that's what he's lived up to his word. It's a quintessential Hindi picture. आप शो के फॉर्मेट में हैं, जो आप सिंगल स्क्रीन में मज़े लेते हो, हाई स्पीड शॉट्स, लाउड बीजी, डायलॉग बाजी, but of men and people who are in uniform. So I think there's an audience for this. And in the last 6-8 months, theatre has shown us that how our masses want to come out and see quintessential heroes. So this is that hero masala in a long series format called Indian Police Force.
You know, Sidharth, you have a very tough exterior. Like sometimes when people who don't know you so much, they wouldn't even get to see or feel what you're feeling inside, and you hide that really well. But people who are close to you, especially people in your team and your friends, essentially you have friends who are not from the industry, who have been friends for years, who understand you so well. There have been moments like when you're talking about the actors, even Shah Rukh Khan in a recent interview, he spoke about how there were death knells actually put out, ki khatam ho gaye sir, and finished. I remember after Chak De, he had given me an interview when he was still doing interviews and I was in print, and he said after Chak De, today Chak De people love it, but when Chak De released and that time Ad Labs would be there next to YRF, he said I came and I didn't see many people there, and next day I see a newspaper article which says finished, only his picture with finished. Today he has delivered 2,600 crores and people are again different with him. You have also seen that phase, because I've spoken to you at that point where people actually almost wrote you off in the industry. Having that tough exterior, does it become difficult for you to express what you're actually feeling at that point?
I think it becomes easier for people to find faults कि यार arrogant है, egoistic है, या attitude बहुत है. Because we people, I mean, somebody like me, who possibly would be very measured to who I'm dealing with, because I feel if I'm extremely honest, even that's very dangerous. They would get offended. So that's my defense mechanism, to not offend people. कि अच्छा मैं कम ही बोलता हूँ, because अगर मेरे मुँह से कुछ निकल जाएगा which is genuine, what I feel, I don't know how well they'll react, because everyone's extremely sensitive. So maybe that's also my growth as a person here. But in terms of reaction and people trying to always pull somebody down or find faults, that is the mashallah endless. I think Shah Rukh sir is somebody who's experienced that, and that's what I was connecting to the first thing I said, that everyone knows that it's people are just one Friday away or 2 Fridays away from that stature, but yet they'll wait for it. It's such a funny business that they don't want to accept it till they really see it. And I think I've come to terms with that. Ki theek hai, everybody wants you to prove your thing. You know, when Sher Shah happened, then people were pleasantly surprised and they would talk, अरे यार मैं तो ये भी मेरे को emotion feel हुआ, मुझे वो भी feel हुआ, I didn't see this, I saw this new performance, I saw that, I said thank you. And then even somebody said कि Mission Majnu performance wise maybe is more nuanced than a Sher Shah. Sher Shah as a film works differently. So, and then you realize that कि यार ये लोग सब, I was still giving the same mehnat than all the other films.
Yeah.
It's not like you work any lesser to give a film.
True.
It doesn't work.
True.
All actors work the same amount of mehnat in every film. I mean, people have misconceptions about certain actors, but trust me, everyone works. To make it look effortless also, that's an effort.
That's true.
So, but it's funny. People want you to show it to them always. It's a business that is thriving on कि अच्छा दिखाओ क्या कर सकते हो, कितना कर सकते हो. That's a constant process. I feel in the last 11 years, 10 years, I've come to realize, and I think that's a growth of accepting it and understanding when to take feedback, when to not, and what is driven by aggression or ego at times, and what is genuine. So yeah, I think that's the business, and one is here to thrive and work hard and prove not everybody else, but prove to yourself first that you're capable, and that's what you're here for.
But being a Delhi ka Londa, I've always said this, that somehow now Mumbai might feel home now that you're married, but there was a point when you were going through all of this, when you were not married and you didn't have family in Mumbai, and to try to hide that sensitive nature of yours, especially today when you see something like this, I feel proud, because people who stood by you will always feel proud of you, because they've seen the growth and they've seen people's opinions change about you. Yeah. Absolutely. But at that moment, why would you like to hide it, and how did you deal with it alone? Did you ever feel that way? Why do you hide it?
Oh, I think that's inherently how I am as a person. I feel that comes from that upbringing of spending 21 years in Delhi, and then when you come to Mumbai to become an actor, and then you have those 5 years of not knowing what your future will be, then you're assistant direction. Everything is so because of that pressure and competition, nobody wants to see weakness.
Yeah.
Even when you're being cast for an ad film as a struggling actor, they're not interested in कि आपको क्या दुखी आ रही है, ऐसा energy or anything, that they would take it as a sign of weakness. And I think that first 5 years kind of makes you grow up. That Dilli Galonda becomes a man, and that tough exterior becomes a defense mechanism. As I said, I have to curb myself from sometimes being extremely blatantly honest as well, because you don't know how you end up offending.
Yeah.
So thoda silent, thoda measured. At least I've maybe adapted myself, and this is my present self as a nice mix of Delhi and Mumbai now.
I feel that the uniform works, like these kind of films, like nationalistic films, have always worked in your favor. Like I have always said this to you, that if Sher Shah released in theatres, and everybody in the trade also said that it would have done crazy numbers. Yeah. And Mission Majnu, again, you followed it up with Mission Majnu, which also had a similar angle, like to pride towards the nation. This also has that. Yes. But they are all very different from each other. And now you are coming up with Yodha, which is again very different. But again, do you feel like with actors like you, Vicky and Alia, I feel like Alia had a Razi and Vicky had a Uri and now a Sam Bahadur. And I feel that it has worked really well for the three of you, especially in that space. Do you feel that?
Oh, absolutely. In my case, I would say people have loved that combination of playing a real life hero in a uniform, fighting for the right cause, and having those difficult situations to deal with in the film, and then they see this underdog character coming in, being heroic. I think that is something very exciting that as an audience also I really enjoy.
Yeah.
You always want to root for the underdog, and I always feel like that. Coming from the outside to make it in Bollywood, we are everyone who's come from self-made background are the underdogs who are working today, and some people like it, some don't. So that trickles into me choosing the scripts also. It's purely coincidence that all these films have that motivation of the country, whether it's an army officer, whether it's a spy, or whether now it's a police officer. But as you said, they're very different worlds and different characters. But I personally like that connect, that you've seen an army officer, you don't know how he is or was on the ground or with his family. You've heard of spies, but you won't know what difficulties they will need to face. And of course, there you have a police officer, which everyone has seen, most probably from a child to everyone else in uniform. And you're trying to dive into what their challenges would be. So I think they're very relatable characters. And yet, you need a certain personality to pull them off. So I'm not complaining, man. I'm happy to play these heroes who connect on a very mass level. And
I think on an emotional level also, because everybody has a different takeaway from every project that you've done. And I feel like I've always said this, that in Shesha, my biggest connect was your and Kiara's love story in the film. I think that, it was so good. And here also, just before we started, there's an emotional arc to Kabir's character. Like, he has a connection with his mother. He already is dealing with a lot of grief in his life. And then that minute scenes that really made me very happy, and I had a smile, is when Shweta, you go for the birthday and Shweta tells you that, your family, just join us. And then initially you're hesitant, and then you join. And then after whatever happens, that bench scene with Shweta Tiwari and the things that you say, he's in the I feel like my emotional quotient is of course very high, I understand, but I think that this has given, it's not just heroic, there is a lot of emotions behind the character of Kabir, and actually all the three characters that you've played in the nationalistic films. Do you look for that? Because it somehow connects.
Oh, absolutely. I would keep skimming through the scripts, or even here discussing with Rohit, so that one is that they have all this tough exterior, they have these duties to follow, and all these
similar
characters. Possibly, correct, yes, similarity in that sense. And then when it comes to their personal life, they're also very deep. I mean, I'm somebody who would like to get into the depths of anything, whether it's discussing any subject. You could be talking about science, yoga, politics. I would like to get to the core of it first, and that's how I look at my scripts as well. Kya dekha rahe? What is this person wanting to say, and what does he want to do in his life? And same in Indian Police Force. He's doing his duty. He's already dealing with the grief of being single because he lost his wife to an ailment. And then while grieving, he has to do his duty because he's driven. He's like, I've worn this uniform. I have certain duties and expectations. And I think that's what something I connect to also because of my grandfather being in the army, and he served it, and I've seen pictures of him over the years, heard stories. So somewhere there's a personal connect as well of duty versus personal life. So all these characters have had a jhalki of that, and maybe that's what subconsciously attracted me to them. But as long as the audience is liking it, I mean, there are no complaints.
In your family, are there people who have the similar takeaways like I do? Like, even in a heroic film, do they have the emotional takeaways? And how did the family react to Indian Police Force?
Oh, my mom was binge watching it, and in the first episode, they're saying, when that bomb is there, so she would start reacting like an audience and start talking to it. अब क्या होगा? अब ऐसा क्या होगा? मैंने कहा देख लो ना, मतलब ऐसा.
Oh, you were watching it with her?
Yeah, I was watching one episode with her, and she was there because they're with me right now in the city. So it was a lot of fun to watch. We've still yet to finish that one last episode with them because she's saving it. She wants to watch it with me. So it'll be fun. This is the first time I would say we would watch a series like this together as a family.
How did the others react?
Oh, the other Kiara also, she's yet to see it. I think she's yet to complete it. She's seen the first few episodes, and they found that Hindi film masala, man. They were in the small screen whistling and clapping in the entries. And
yeah, even I did,
So exactly. So I think that was the intent, to bring that Hindi film drama, high-speed shots and hero ki entry, so that you get that factor to either clap or be with the character there. So my Ghar Ka Mahal was exactly this, and we were having a lot of fun watching it.
Finally, I will say this, that there was an interview when I was again in the newspaper that I was working for. I did an interview with you, if I'm not wrong. I was going through all the interviews. There was a point you had been trying different genres, and even in the genres, like in an action film, you were doing something very remotely different from what other people were trying. Some were working, some were not working, and then there were judgments, but you kept on at it. And I remember asking you that, don't you think that at this point where people are actually putting a certain number to everything, don't you feel that it would be lovely to do an out-and-out commercial film? Because that time masala films were the flavor of the day. It still is. But that time it was like, that was, wo koi bhi kar raha tha, chal raha tha. So you decided not to do it then. You waited, and this has been like 5-7 years almost. Did you wait for this, and have you spoken to Rohit sir to incorporate your character in the whole cop universe in the film?
Oh, have I spoken to put which film?
The whole film, like the whole universe, Singham, Simba, Suryavanshi universe.
Oh, well,
Now Satya.
That's more for him to decide, and I think, but definitely we'll have something on the cards, hopefully soon. But I think, what was your first out of the question you said?
The fact that you did,
right?
That time you didn't want to do like a typical commercial movie just to prove a point.
So I think in my initial years, my choices were very varied, and I was like, "Acha, ye bhi karte hain. Let's do Hasi to Pasi. Let's do an Ek Villain. Brothers a different thing." And Brothers at that time, I didn't have a female lead opposite me. So it was my fourth film not to have a romantic interest. But I was like, no, I want to try this as well. So I think the first couple of years, you're just so experimenting and finding your own ground as well as a performer, and trying different genres and trying to figure what fits in. And as we were discussing here, right now I want to explore more and not do what is being done in the market, or somebody's trying to follow a particular trend. Now it just so happens that when Shersha happened or Mission Majnu happened, that now action films are the flavor. But I've been doing that for a while. So it's just so that the timing of it matches, and the quintessential hero is back in that sense. So I think that's great. That's something I believe in. That's something I like to do. It's something I like to watch, and I've grown up watching. So it just so happens, and hopefully we'll have Yodha as well, which takes this hero characters ahead.
Absolutely. Sidharth, I would like to reiterate everything the same thing that I say every time, that I hope you go places and you take us along with you, because every little victory of yours feels a lot more personal. Every little problem that you face feels a lot more personal. Only thing is that keep meeting us a little more often. When I've not been able to give you a gift that I've wanted to give you.
Okay.
It's you can consider it a birthday gift, wedding gift, whatever, but I am gonna give it to you. I hope you like it. This is a friend of mine, and he is a graphic artist, and I wanted to give it to you. This is both of you, and I hope you like it.
Very
This is
cute.
Prasad Bhatt, who has done it for me, and
Thank
it's amazing.
you.
It's just
He's made this by hand?
Wow. No, not hand.
Okay.
Graphic
By
artist.
graphic. Oh, yeah, sorry. Graphic artist. Lovely. How cute. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this, and hope you keep meeting us more often.
Yes, I'm sure. With all these gifts, I will.
Done.